Jessica from Intellidance here. Happy Read in Week and happy Teacher Tip Tuesday. Today I wanted to pop in for a quick live video sharing with you some of my favorite early childhood and elementary age picture books that I like to use to integrate both movement and music into my class. And if you're not familiar with Read in Week, basically Read in Week is a movement to get kids reading. So for example, at the elementary schools in my school district this week, we'll be inviting many different special guests into our school to do reading with the kids, reading on a variety of subjects, and teachers are looking at different ways of integrating literacy maybe into subject or curriculum we don't generally think about including literacy in. Although really, as educators, especially in the early years, we know literacy is part of everything that we do. So throughout the week, you're going to find various posts on different book suggestions that I have and ideas on how you can then relate these back both to movement and music activities. Yesterday for Musical Monday, I shared with you a brand new Spotify playlist called Story and Songs. You can find that on Spotify under Intellidance at Home, as well as a blog post that lists the different books each of these songs was based off of. So that's a great place to start if you're not really sure, how do I go about mixing literacy and music? You can take a look at that blog post, find those books, match it up with the songs, and have some fun with that as well. But today I wanted to give you a few more specific recommendations. So the first two we're going to start with are books that I love just to discuss dance with children and the idea that dance can be experienced in a wide variety of ways. No two dancers are alike, and that's what makes the world of movement so exciting and unique. So the first one that I plan on reading with my grade ones and my kinders today, I'll come a little closer so you can see. It's called Elephants Cannot Dance, and it's one of my favorite early childhood authors, Mo Willems. He used to actually be a writer for Sesame Street, so you can imagine how fun his books are. My youngest daughter is completely obsessed with his Knuffle Bunny books, but then she also loves this series of books, which are the Elephant and Piggy books. Very, very simple, so they're great for early readers as well who are just starting on their reading journey, but they're a lot of fun and there's so much humor in them. In this book, Piggy is trying to convince her friend Elephant that he can dance. And I'll quickly just read you a passage here. They're quite funny. Well, maybe we'll just start at the beginning. Gerald! Let's dance! I can teach you. And of course, like, you gotta do the voices, right? I am teaching all of my friends. I would love to learn how to dance. But elephants cannot dance. You are kidding me. No. Look it up. Page 11. Gerald, it does not say that you cannot try. And try and effort really is kind of the overarching message of this book. As the pages go on, Piggy demonstrates various dance moves that Elephant Gerald attempts, but not necessarily successfully and not necessarily the same way that they look on Piggy. But as the book goes on, what Piggy discovers is that Gerald has some of his very own unique dance moves. And it really comes back to effort and this idea that we can all do the same movements. They might look a little bit different on all of us, but it's really important that we try and that we honor everyone's unique abilities and unique way of expressing movement. So this is a really great one, and I love to use it anywhere from about age 3 to age 6. So super fun, and definitely do the voices. The kids love, love, love it when you do the voices. So that one's a lot of fun to read with your kids as well, and to talk about, you know, effort, let's try, and how when we all dance, we're all so unique, and that's what makes dance so special and wonderful. Another book in that same kind of genre, again, I'll come a little bit closer for you here. This was actually gifted to me by a retired dance university professor, and this one's called Tanya and Emily in Dance for Two. And I would say this one's for a little bit older students. And the story takes you through 2 different students' experiences in a ballet class. So I would say you could probably read this book anywhere from about grade 1 up to grade 3, maybe even grade 4. And I'll read you a little clip from the back. It says, Tanya, the smallest and wiggliest student in her ballet class, looks up to the new girl, Emily, who stands, walks, stretches, and dances like a ballerina. Yet, as they walk through the zoo after class, it is Tanya who shows Emily how to make a dance by mimicking the movements of the animals. So personally, I can really relate to this book because when I was a child, I was Tanya. I was that wiggly, unfocused kid trying to move through dance class, and in a pre-ballet class, which really wasn't what was best for me at that time in my development, it really is what led me to creative dance as a child. But what I love about this book is that as we go on, especially if you are teaching ballet or pre-ballet classes, you use a lot of that ballet vocabulary. And what it really looks at is the difference between, our ballet technique and being a technician, and then the expressive quality of dance, and how dance isn't just about specific steps being done a certain way. It's a way that we can express and share ideas. So you can see as you get to the pages where they visit the zoo, Emily asks, "What are you doing? A jeté?" "No," said Tanya, "an ostrich." And Tanya danced like an ostrich. And as they go through each page of being at the zoo, Emily will ask about a different specific ballet term, and Tanya will give her the animal that she is representing. So again, I really like this book in terms of a conversation about how we need a balance of technique and expressive artistry in our dance, and that dance can be inspired not just by things that we see in the syllabus, but things we see in everyday life. And at the end, it's a really great friendship that kind of develops between the 2 girls. They help each other with their unique strengths in dance. So Emily helps Tanya develop her technique, and Tanya helps Emily find her more expressive, creative side. So this is another really great book to start conversations and talking about dance with your students. Next, I'm going to go on to a few books that you'll find songs of on that Spotify playlist that we created. And again, they're by one of my favorite early childhood authors, Sandra Boyd. So if you visit the Story and Songs Spotify playlist, you'll find, I believe I put four different Sandra Boyd songs on there. And they come from these collections that she's created. I have 2 of them, but the songs are all available on Spotify as well. And basically what Sandra Boyd did is she got together with some different musicians and created these songs and song books based on some of her stories, and then also just created some new unique songs kind of inspired by different characters she has in her books. So these are 2 that I have. And for my music teachers, one reason you may want to pick up these actual books is inside of these books, not only do you get the CD that comes along with all the songs in this book, you also get, let me find it here, I mean, they're great illustrations. If you're not familiar with Sandra Boyd, you're totally missing out. Her books are hilarious. But let's see where we can find it here. I should have clipped this beforehand. Bear with me. There we go. What I love about these books is it also includes the musical score. So if you're a music teacher and you were wanting to work on some of these songs with your students, you could be playing them on the piano, you could be creating accompaniments to go along. I think there's a lot of opportunities with a lot of the poetry in these books to look at creating simple ostinatos or beat and rhythm activities with your music students. So for my music teachers, you may want to go out and actually purchase these actual books. They're a great resource. But yeah, definitely check out those songs on the Spotify playlist. They're a lot of fun. But I have 2 of the actual books that Sandra Boyd based these songs on. So the first one I'll show you is Barnyard Dance. And this one's great. It's a lot of fun. I have the jumbo version. Sometimes my North American friends, you can pick these up at Costco in their book section. I love having this bigger size of board book for sharing with my classes. And then the great thing again is on the inside it comes with that CD. So we have the music on Spotify, but if you're not a Spotify follower, you can pick up the book and it will come with that recording as well. But what I love about this book in particular is how much it works on locomotor and different movement vocabulary with the kids. So generally my teaching process with the kids, and it varies based on my group, is we start just by reading the story. I read them the story, and to give you an example of how the prose go, stomp your feet, clap your hands, everybody ready for a barnyard dance. Bow to the horse, bow to the cow, twirl with the pig if you know how. Bounce with the bunny, strut with the duck, spin with the chickens now, cluck, cluck, cluck. With the baa and a boo and a cock-a-doodle-doo, everybody promenade 2 by 2. So I'll pause there, but you get the idea. And as you move along through the book, there's different movements for each of the animals. So generally once I'll read it with the kids and I'll ask them if they can think of movement words that they hear and put those in their head. And when we're done reading the book, we'll brainstorm all of the words they remembered. And then we'll try moving those in our body. Then we'll read the book a second time, but this time I'll get the kids to stand up as I read the book. And as I read the book, they start experimenting with adding some of those movements in as well. So it's a great way to help them see that a lot of this movement vocabulary that we're learning in dance class translates into other areas of life. So for this one, it's a way of looking at different ways we can use movement words to describe how animals might move. Or it's also a great way to kind of start introducing the idea of folk dance. And that's the extension I would take this to afterwards with my students. We would learn a very simple barn dance. And I talk to them about how a lot of these barn dances, these country dances, folk dances, were dances that were created by people. Folk dance means dance of the people. And people were using their movement vocabulary to create dances that express their culture and their communities. So I really like this one as well. It's a lot of fun. You could add another extension activity by creating an obstacle course, moving like the different animals and those movement words that you have within the book. You could also get the kids together with some pictures of the animals from the book with the movement words written underneath, and maybe the students could put together a few of those different movements and animals to create their own simple choreography and movement phrase. So Barnyard Dance is a lot of fun for that one as well. Another Sandra Boyd book I'll share with you is Pajama Time, and you can see this one is very well loved, and I do own the other two that are on the playlist as well, Snuggle Puppy and Your Personal Penguin. They are in even more rough shape because Sandra Boyd was like my daughter's favorite early childhood board books. I think we pretty much own every single one of her books. And I can't find my big copy. I think it's probably at school. I do own a jumbo copy of this one as well, and if you get it from Costco, it will come with that CD. But this one's super, super cute if you're looking maybe to do a thematic day within your classroom, within your library, at your dance studio. So I know for myself, when I ran my dance studio, or usually like once a year at school, we have a special pajama day where the kids get to come to dance class or come to school or come to the library in their pajamas. And I use this book to start my lesson for that day. So this one's all about pajamas, and it's got some great movement words in it as well too. And I'll just again read you the beginning here so you can kind of see. The moon is up. It's getting late. Let's get ready to celebrate. It's pajama time. Pull on the bottoms. Put on the top. Get yourself set to pajama bop. It's pajama time. And it goes on with different variations. There's some movement in there as well. And one thing I often get the kids to do along with me for the It's Pajama Time, I teach them before we start the book, we go, it's pajama time! And that really keeps them engaged in the book. It gives them something to do while they're reading, and we're coming back to that idea of theme. After we read the story, generally I just put on the song and we do a little free dance in our pajamas, which is a lot of fun. You can turn it into a freeze dance by pausing it at different intervals as well. And then throughout my lesson plan, I then integrate other kind of pajama and bedtime activities. So another one you're gonna find on the Spotify playlist is the No More Monkeys song based on the 5 little monkeys jumping on the bed. So we'll do that poem and then I'll put on the No More Monkeys Jumping on the Bed song. I've got some actions that go along with it. You can actually see it on one of the other Intellidance videos on here. And for my special pajama day, I'll just bring in pillows and we have fun jumping on the bed, doing our actions to the No More Monkeys with those pillows. We'll do another bedtime related obstacle course. Maybe we're, jumping over pylons like we're jumping on the bed. Maybe we're rolling on some blankets. So lots of different movements that you can play along with. I'll also, for that lesson plan, use Eric Chappelle's Sky Reel song that has the intervals of the music playing and then the shh, shh, shh. And so what I tell the kids for that one is that we're having this really fun pajama party, but our parents have gone to bed and we're supposed to be asleep. But once, they're in bed, we get up and we dance and party. But when we hear the parents go, shh, 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 we have to lay down and sleep and be very quiet and still. And you could do that one just with movement. You can add a prop like scarves or ribbons. You could have them playing instruments. So there's a lot of fun ways to kind of use this Pajama Time book to explore different movement activities related to this theme of bedtime and pajama day. And I know some of you are probably doing that already in your classrooms, so a great reference for that. The next book I want to share with you is We're Going on a Bear Hunt. And you'll also find a song version of this book on that Spotify playlist as well. And this is my favorite version right here. It's got beautiful illustrations. And I've used this both in my music class and in my dance classes. And I'll talk to you about my process for this one too. So for this one, if I'm approaching it like a music teacher, I'm using it as a way to establish beat and this idea of verse and chorus. And also working on call and response, echoing with my students. So the first time I read the book with my students, I just get them working on me with that echoing. So I would start by going, we're going on a bear hunt. And then I'd cue like this to the kids, and they'd repeat that back to me. We're going on a bear hunt. I'd point to myself, we're gonna catch a big one. We're gonna catch a big one. What a beautiful day. And we'd go along with that. And another thing that I'm working on as we're working on that echoing, I'm bringing the children's awareness to the tone and the pitch and the dynamics of my voice. So we're really getting them to be expressive with their voices, which is so important for their auditory development, for their expressive communication, not just as dancers and musicians, but just as human beings as well. So that would be the first way we'd explore the book. And of course we come up to different things like grass, where we get to make fun noises like swishy swashy, swishy swashy, swishy swashy. Or what else did we find? Oh, I think the next one's, oh, we're in the water. Splash, sploosh, splash, sploosh, splash, sploosh. And so on and so forth. Once my students have a good understanding of the book, they can do that echoing with me. We're able to do those different words that kind of describe the grass and the water and the sticky mud. There's lots of fun verbiage in there for the kids. As a music teacher, then I go on and we work on keeping the beat as we read the story. So that steady beat is there, and I might give my students different non-pitch percussion instruments to play along with me, keeping that beat as we go. So we're really reinforcing that even though this is a story, we can read it and in a musical way with a steady beat and make it a little bit more rhythmic. Then what I did for my older students last year, my grade 2s and 3s worked on this with me, is Then we were looking at instrument families in the classroom and the tonality differences between instruments. So once the students were able to keep that steady beat and had a good understanding of the story, then we went through each of the different things they encountered, like snow, which makes the which is a very different sound than maybe our mud, which is a squelch, 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 squelch. And so then I would ask the students, we would brainstorm as a class, what are different instruments we could use to represent those sounds? So instead of us going, ooh, or swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, what's an instrument in the classroom that might make a similar sound? And once we brainstormed all of those ideas, then I would break the students into different groups, enough groups for the different things that they encounter on their bear hunt. And then we would combine all of that together. So we'd all start by playing that steady beat, and we're doing the echoing and the chanting. And then when we would get to the section when they had to go over it, can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go under it. Oh no, we'll have to go through it. Then whatever group's instrument was representing that particular sound, they would come in with their instrumentation. So I know last year, I think my students who did grass picked the sand blocks, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy. And something else we practiced was, could we do that verbal rhythm, swishy, swashy, swishy, swashy, but put it into our instruments? So this really took us about 4 lessons. It was a great way to add the literacy. It was a wonderful way to work on beat and rhythm, expressive communication skills, our dynamics, our intonation, and then also, how do we classify instruments? Can we find sounds that can represent images and ideas we're seeing in the book, and then working on basic composition skills, which is a pretty in-depth activity for 7 and 8-year-olds. I was really impressed with how the kids did. And something else cool that I've discovered, a lot of you probably know about Cosmic Kids Yoga, but she actually has a Cosmic Kids Yoga based on this book. So last week I couldn't be in my classroom. I was working with my school board on rewriting our dance curriculum, so I was away from my students for that week, and it's pretty much impossible to find dance subs. So I needed to leave physical literacy plans for the substitute, and basically what I had the sub do was read "We're Going on a Bear Hunt" with the students, and then put on the Cosmic Kids Yoga, and the kids moved through this yoga sequence that's based on the narrative "We're Going on a Bear Hunt." What I'm going to do with those students today in dance class, and I did have some of them last year who experienced this book with the music concepts that I just explained to you, is we're now going to look at the idea of relationships. That's going to be our movement concept, because those are built right into our story. We can't go over it, we can't go under it. Oh no, we'll have to go through it. So we're going to work on relationships first, and I have some obstacle courses that I've created for the kids. After that, then we're going to brainstorm ideas rather than what instruments could I use to represent the swishy swashy or the squelch squirch, squelch squirch. What are movement words that we have to describe those particular sounds? So the students and I will take all of my movement word cards today, we'll take a look at them, we'll try them out, and then we'll create a little bit of a performance. And I have some basic movements that I will give the students to go on that whole first section that's repetitive, basically our verse throughout each part of the book. And it's another way we'll work on composition as a class. So a nice way to collaborate with the students. How can we take the ideas represented and the concepts represented in this book, so very clearly relationships, and then also locomotor movements, and then how can we take that and use this narrative structure and create a performance piece using the story and our dance concepts. So this one I'm really looking forward to doing later today. The last one I'm going to share with you for today is one of my personal favorites, and I have a video coming up tonight of me actually singing this entire storybook with my daughter, but it's Puff the Magic Dragon. And this is actually a series of books that you can buy, and again, they're great. They come with the CD. I have put the version of Puff the Magic Dragon that the CD comes with on that Spotify playlist for you. But what I love about this book are the beautiful illustrations. They've also got one for Somewhere Over the Rainbow. You'll find that on your Spotify playlist, and I believe there's a few more. But Puff the Magic Dragon and Somewhere Over the Rainbow tend to be the ones that I use the most. But you can see they're just really beautiful illustrations. And this has always been a favorite song of mine. Some of my earliest memories are of my dad and I singing this song together on Sundays. My dad would play the guitar, and often on Sunday afternoons we would do family sing-alongs, and Puff was always one of my favorites. So last year when I was teaching music at my school and was really encouraged to include more literacy into our music curriculum, this is one of the first books that I went to. And it was amazing how the kids responded to it. And I brought it out during Read-In Week last year, and the kids asked for it over and over. Like basically almost every music class was, "Can we sing Puff? Can we sing Puff?" And it was great because my reluctant singers and my younger singers at the beginning of the year, it was mostly me singing. But by spring, they could sing the entire song with so much expression. And in fact, it was what all of my Div 1 classes requested we do at the end of our spring showcase, was to bring this book out, and with their families and the students and myself, we all sang along to Puff the Magic Dragon. And what a beautiful generational experience that was. Parents know the song, grandparents know the song. Our music room was filled with children and families singing together, and you could feel the emotion. You could feel the parents, kind of tearing up and loving sharing this musical experience with their children as well. So this one's really great for music teachers. And again, if singing is not really your forte, there is the song, so you could, simply put on the music and be turning the pages along with your students and talking about the imagery in the book, what's the main story in the book. I mean, even my grade 4 students loved this book, and what they really noticed was at the end when you're looking at the pictures, and the song's a little sad at the end, it talks about Jackie Paper growing up and leaving Puff behind. But what I love about the images in the story is even though that's what the words are talking about, which can be pretty sad for little kids, is we see this beautiful image of, I'll show you here, and sorry if you can't see it super well in the live video. So that is, hiding in the corner back there is Jackie Paper as an adult, and the children and I have decided that this must be his daughter. And so it's this idea that childhood is maybe a shorter period of time, but imagination and creativity continue to be important, and that we also transfer through music some of our cultural and our human experiences. And I think that's such an important thing as arts educators with young children, is that that's really the main message that we're passing along to them. That art and music are inclusive. They are for everybody. I'm wearing my Dance for Every Child shirt today because that is what I believe. Dance for every human, music for every human. And it's not always about perfection. What music and dance for me at the heart of it really are a way for us to connect with each other as humans and share our similar experiences and our celebrations, and also share differences in opinions and ideas. But what a wonderful, inclusive space that can be. So thank you so much for watching. Again, continue to check out the Facebook page throughout the week. I'll have other suggestions for books. I'll have videos and a little bit more clarity on some of the activities you can do. They'll be typed out with some of the books I've shared with you today. And just thank you so much for your continued support. And I also would just like to say, if you have ideas on things you would love to learn more about on Teacher Tip Tuesday, please comment on either the Facebook page. Feel free to send me an email at jessica@intellidance.ca. I really want these videos to be accessible and helpful to teachers. And I know not everyone is in a place where they can necessarily join the Intellidance Method Certification, but I'm really dedicated to ensuring part of Intellidance's overall mission is to make sure that dance and music experiences are accessible to all children. So making sure that the videos and the resources I'm providing teachers for free are helping meet those goals. So thanks so much, everyone. Read with your kids this week, sing with your kids this week, dance with your kids this week. Have so much fun in your classrooms, and I'll see you again next week. Have a great day.